Thank you, Mr. President. Are we in a quorum call?
We're not.
Thank you, Mr. President. In recent days, Middle and West Tennesseans have faced severe storms that have truly upended the life of many of our communities and our citizens. Over 4 days, parts of our state saw more than 12 inches of rainfall. This has caused rising rivers, flash floods, and it has forced people out of their homes and their businesses. At the same time, we have seen devastating tornadoes that have destroyed homes, businesses, and entire communities. In Selmer, Tennessee, one tornado reached winds of 160 miles per hour, leaving a path of destruction. In the words of one survivor, the storms have left the town unrecognizable. As a result of this devastation, we've lost the lives of 10 Tennesseans. My heart goes out to every single one of their families as our state mourns this loss and as the communities gather to grieve the loss of their citizens. Right now, Tennessee remains in a state of emergency. Over the weekend in Nashville, I visited the State Emergency Operations Center and received an update from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Tennessee Department of Transportation, Tennessee Highway Patrol, and other agencies on our state's emergency response. I also had the opportunity to visit with nonprofits who are meeting the needs on the ground of our citizens. And I do want to say a thank you to all of the first responders and the volunteers and the emergency teams who are working around the clock to meet the need of so many. With water still rising in our state, power lines down, and many roads blocked completely, it is imperative that Tennesseans listen to local authorities and take every precaution to keep themselves safe. My team is working closely with state and federal and local agencies, and we are ready to assist anyone who has endured these awful storms. In the face of any crisis, Tennesseans always come together. As we start to pick up the pieces from these storms, I know that you will see that volunteer spirit alive and well in Tennessee. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the next portion of my remarks be placed separately in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since Inauguration Day, President Trump has been hard at work addressing one of the biggest threats that our nation faces. That is our $36 trillion debt. Unlike the last administration, the Trump administration has been very vocal. They are choosing to save the taxpayer money. And I will have to say, so far, they have had a tremendous amount of success. Now, I know some of my colleagues want to complain about DOGE, and they're not fond of the Department of Government Efficiency. I think it is worthy to note that DOGE so far has identified more than $140 billion in potential savings for the American people. Now, they have found this by going into each department, working with the secretaries of the different departments, the heads of the agencies, and they're reviewing unused federal leases, federal contracts, and they're saving billions. They're even able to find a savings in some of these anti-American DEI programs. Every American should be celebrating this effort that saves them money. Government has not one penny to spend until the taxpayer sends the money. Every dollar is taxpayer money. It is not federal money. The federal government does not create this. It is taxpayer money. And so taxpayers should be celebrating the elimination of waste, fraud, and abuse. It is essential that we go through this process, that we right-size government, that we utilize technology, and that we ensure that this country remains free, independent, sovereign, and solvent. Yet for weeks, we have seen our colleagues on the other side of the aisle choose to stand up and attack President Trump's efforts to rein in federal spending and to make government transparent and accountable to the people. Mr. President, again, it's an issue of who is paying the bill for this. It is the American people. And if you're paying the bill, you want to know what is it that you're paying for. And this has been so interesting to me to see my colleagues on the other side of the aisle object to DOGE and object to saving federal money, object to wise stewardship of federal resources, and then to attack. Many of these attacks are disconnected from reality. Recently, the Democrats have landed on a new line, and we've heard them repeat this over and over. Now, their new line is that Republicans and the Trump administration are using DOGE to cut Social Security benefits for our nation's seniors. Well, nothing could be further than the truth. It is Republicans and President Trump that are seeking to save Social Security. Last month in this very chamber, the Senate Democratic leader claimed that, and I quote him, "The goal of Trump and Elon Musk is to destroy Social Security from within," end quote. Well, nothing could be further than the truth. To help our Democrat colleagues to understand this issue, I've pulled together a fact sheet that makes one thing clear. While eliminating wasteful spending, improper payments, fraud in the system, Republicans are protecting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for the beneficiaries for which it is intended. See, Mr. President, our colleagues across the aisle have this completely backward. And they've been pushing these talking points off to the mainstream media, to some of the leftists that are out protesting. If you accept the status quo on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, basically what you are saying is, hey, I'm okay if you waste money. I'm okay if you make improper payments. I'm okay if you allow fraud and deception. I'm okay if you let the trust fund run dry. I'm okay if you cut benefits. In essence, that is what they're saying because they're accepting the status quo. But repeatedly, we remind people it is Republicans who are trying to save Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid because we're rooting out waste, fraud, abuse, and making certain that those benefits should go to the people that deserve them. But this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. We have been saying, let's preserve these programs and let's make them stronger. Let's make certain that scammers and fraudsters don't have access to taxpayer money. Now, just last month, the president said, and I'm going to quote him, "I'm not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Now, we're going to get fraud out of there, Everybody wants us to get the fraud out, and therefore, you'll make it better, end quote. That is exactly what we are doing. By eliminating waste and fraud, the administration is strengthening these essential programs. For example, DOJ confirmed that 1.3 million individuals who secured a fraudulent Social Security number also received Medicare benefits. Now, that is stealing money from individuals that are entitled rightfully to the benefits. So if you've got 1.3 million individuals that have a fraudulent Social Security number and they've also signed up for Medicare, they should be removed from the program because they are not entitled to be on that program. DOJ also sifted out 10 million cases where Social Security number holders were over the age of 120. Now, this should raise alarms. I don't know how many, if any, Americans are 120 years of age or older. But we do know that there are 10 million cases where there are Social Security number holders that are over 120 years old. The right thing to do is to find out if you've got people that say they're 150, 165, 200 years, even one that is listed as 300 years old. We need to be investigating this and find out who's getting the check and who is cashing that check, because that person is not entitled to that check, which, by the way, it is paid with taxpayer money. When I talk with Tennesseans, they want to make certain that people who deserve the benefits are getting the benefits. And people that are scammers and liars and fraudsters and are ripping off the federal government, that they get prosecuted for the way they're ripping off the federal government. Now, President Trump is determined to strengthen these programs, and Senate Republicans have promised to deliver relief to senior citizens by cutting taxes on Social Security benefits. Today, nearly 56% of retirees pay taxes on their Social Security benefits as inflation pushes seniors' benefits into higher and higher income brackets. This is inexcusable because people have paid into that. We had a lieutenant governor in Tennessee at one point. He would sum this up, Mr. President, by saying, no one should ever be paying taxes on taxes. People have paid into Social Security, and then as they retire, they're going to get this money back. And for the past few years, I've worked on legislation. It's called the Retirees First Act. It would address this problem by lowering the tax burden on Social Security benefits for seniors by raising the provisional income threshold. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid are essential programs for millions of Tennesseans. It is appropriate that we exempt out seniors from paying income tax on those Social Security benefits. It is appropriate that we make certain that these programs are there for the beneficiaries for which they're intended. And it is appropriate that we ask our colleagues across the aisle to join us in making certain these programs are strengthened, not weakened. I yield the floor.